This episode of the Cigar Social Podcast is brought to you by Black Star Line Cigars. From the highly rated Warwich to the outstanding Lalibela and classic El Milagro, these cigars are absolutely incredible and use the absolute best tobacco from Aganorsa leaf, which is farmed and expertly handcrafted in Esteli, Nicaragua. Visit them at blackstarline.shop and use promo code CIGARSOCIAL15 for 15% off your entire order and receive free shipping on all orders over $100. Black Star Line Cigars. Cigars are a daily operation. Welcome to the Cigar Social Podcast. I am your host. My name is Matt. Thank you for joining. I hope you had a good drink and a cigar lit. This episode is going to be epic. To show my dedication to my listeners and to get this special guest on my show, as he requested, I had to stick my right elbow into a bowl of mashed potatoes.
That is correct.
And send him the photo. Snail mail, not like here's a text message with a photo, but like here's a postage stamp with a photo inside of me with my elbow and a bowl of fucking mashed potatoes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Folks, It's fucking Boofy, baby. Friends, say hello to the creative director of Room101 Cigars, Matt Booth. Thanks for joining, Matt.
Can you see me now? Was I off? Am I on now? I'm not aware of how your technology is structured. Am I here now?
You're blurry, but you're not. You're here. I see you.
Thank
see
you
me.
for having me. I'm very pleased to be here.
No. The thanks is all mine.
You know what's amazing about your little indoctrination exercise for the show is that, my office manager opens all the mail. And then if I'm traveling, she'll send me a text message of any pertinent, things that need to get done, any sort of important communication. And I get this text message from, this very refined lady, of your photography, which I further enjoyed because, at this point she knows. She's like, oh my God, I don't even understand how we're still in business yet, doing well, because this is this is obscene what he does. But she, everybody gets a nice laugh out of it, So it was nice.
Is she used to your shenanigans?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not the first one, I'm assuming.
The elbow and the potatoes, I try to have unique experience with people, you see. So no one had ever done that. They've done many things, you understand, but not that, if you catch my drift.
No, that's fine. It was funny. We are actually talking on the phone during a HERF. Eric Bay gave me his phone, and you were like, hey, where's my photo? And I was like, oh, I thought Eric Bay was pulling my fucking chain. I didn't think, okay, sure.
Yeah, I had made a request.
I got home. Yeah. I got home that day because, we didn't talk. Eric Bay from Black Star Line was our middleman.
Yes.
And so I got home after that HERF, and I told my wife, and I'm like, hey, listen, Booth won't interview or even talk to me until I put my right elbow in some mashed potatoes. And she was she turned around and she had a pot of mashed potatoes. She was like, well, you better wash your elbow because I'm about to make a shepherd's pie.
There we go.
And I'm like, all right, cool. So I washed my elbow and I stuck it in there and I took a picture, and that's how that happened.
And here we are.
And here we are. Yeah.
And here we are. It's nice, right? You want a little show, I want a little show. We get what we want. It's nice. It's a healthy exchange of value.
Do you hang your Do you have a collection of these photos of random people doing some random shit in your house? It's like, is it
not have a dossier of sorts? Look, man, I've been doing this shit a long time. I gotta fucking entertain myself somehow, okay? It's that simple.
Absolutely.
But it's all in good faith. Like, there's nothing that's maniacal. Well, it's a maniacal light, like a soda, but
Ish.
it's it's all in good humor, right? It's nice, it's fun, and we're all part of this island of misfit toys here. The cigar industry, the cigar community. So I feel like my people get it, and I'm sure there are people that don't get it.
Right.
But then again, there's some people that get out of the shower to pee too. The fuck do I know?
I get it. I 100% get it. All right. Well, before we get to learn about Boofy and Room 101, let's talk about today's bottle and stick. Today's bottle. Let's start there. Matt, are you sipping anything over there, or are you just smoking something?
I'm just smoking.
Got it. Okay. That's fine.
Was I supposed to sip? Was I supposed to ingest liquid?
You could if you want. Maybe. It's up to you. I don't know who drinks, who doesn't drink, what time it is when you're in California and I'm in dark Midwest right now.
I drink, but I shouldn't.
It's whatever. Yes, as most people feel. I have the Four Roses small batch. So this is a bottle that I've never tried before. I'm trying it for the first time right now. It's a combination of 4 of the Four Roses 10 bourbon recipes that they have, aged somewhere between 6 and 7 years, 90 proof, smooth, definitely very smooth. Flavor profile is good for beginners. It's a good starter sip. I'm getting like rich fruit, oak, caramel, which is like a solid bourbon flavor. Oak, caramel, a little bit of fruit. MSRP, affordable, about $30. Can't beat it. Matt, what are you smoking over there?
Awkward that you're not drinking Room 101 gin. I wasn't going to say anything, but I couldn't help myself.
Can I raise my hand and say I fucking tried to get Room 101 in Illinois? But for
Yoda
some reason, there is
no try, there's only do. Yoda said,
do
try is
or
why
do
you fail.
not. There is no try.
Do is do not, right?
Actually, I will tell you candidly, I have a bottle of Room 101 waiting for me at Eric Bay's house. Apparently, you have recently sent him a couple bottles. One of those have my name on it. I just have not been.
I don't send
somebody.
Sometimes the gin
something happened.
Blesses people with liquid.
Right. No.
Never.
Absolutely. There was no distribution to the state of Illinois. It was a friend who knew a friend who may have known a friend. Regardless, I tried, couldn't do it.
You don't have that many friends.
I tried to get to the south. Whatever. I don't fucking have. I have one friend, and he's sitting over here drawing comic books.
I thought you were going to say drawing dicks. That's what I'd be doing if I was sitting with you.
Well, I mean, I didn't say what type of comic books. I said
like the
he's
kind
drawing
that
comic
you find
books
in 7-Eleven in Japan. Those ones, you know the ones.
I don't know those ones. Can you?
I do.
Go on. Yeah.
No.
Wow.
You got to get your passport. Get on over there. Go to 7-Eleven. Buy you a nice reset T-shirt and set of undies. Little face mask. and some sort of intergalactic octopus space rape comic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that
And seaweed
existed.
snacks. Well,
but I have a
you go to
passport,
Japan.
and I feel like I may have to take the trip just for that.
Oh, you will see.
Just for that. I am smoking the Room 101 10th anniversary Toro 6x52.
Yeah.
This is a limited edition created by Mr. Matt Booth himself in 2019 to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Room 101. This is a reddish Nicaraguan wrapper. Tobaccos from an undisclosed origin. The cigar was made in Esteli, Nicaragua, at the Tabacalera AJ Fernandez Tabacalera. It was sold in 500.
Fernandez.
No. Yes.
Fernandez?
Yes.
AJ's my favorite.
AJ
He likes
Fernandez. He's great.
His son. What's up, AJ?
He's okay.
He is the man. He will terraform the fucking earth to make this farm.
Listen, I've had a lot of AJ stuff. With Romeo, with all these different companies.
But this is more erotic.
Phenomenal, by the way.
Yeah, this is erotic.
Yes. I'm almost turned on.
Fuck you mean almost? The fuck is that?
Like
this interview is
like a
Okay, just kidding.
No, I feel it. I'm just I've been drinking a lot. Anyway, the Toro sized. This is sold in 520 count boxes. The blend details have been kept kind of confidential from what I can find. However, the cigar has a rosado wrapper, and it is a full-bodied, full flavor cigar.
I'd say medium.
Matt, do you have anything to add? Is it a medium?
Medium plus.
Do you have anything to add to the blend details?
Like what?
It is. Honestly, I try to tell that to everybody. So like when we talk about people looking at Cigar, Snob, Half Wheel, all of these outlets, they start to talk about, what they're experiencing. And honestly, that's not what you're going to experience. It may be, but the cigar shipment, the cigar, the way it was kept, the way it was smoked, cigars are so unique that I almost don't want to tell you or tell our listeners that it was a 90 rated or it was this and it's so fantastic. But because one man's trash might be another man's treasure. And this thing, though, is, in my opinion, so far, half an inch in. Fucking phenomenal so far. There's no cigar ratings means nothing. There's no ground to stand on, right? Because like the way I store a cigar and the way I smoke a cigar is completely different from what you do, right? So
potentially
ish, right? Like could be ish, maybe.
I think the ratings are a good kind of starting point. Like they can give people some intel and some info on what might be going on with that product, But it's for you to discover on your own. Yeah, it's insight.
Right.
Right? There you go.
But for here's my spiel. I'm going to argue for a little bit. Around here we have a store called Benny's, which is like a 47 location store. Yeah. And they have a humidor.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this like rating. And so when the, cigar aficionado rating comes out, they start putting those like number 1, number 2, number 3 next to the boxes that made the whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a sales pitch. You know what I mean? Like, people are going to eat that shit up. Yeah, okay, Padron 1926 won Cigar of the Year last year. Whatever. Did I lose you?
2 hours later.
I want to make sure that so your phone overheated.
That's correct.
You put it in your fridge. I see correct. The door to your fridge. Yes. And we're talking from inside your fridge.
That's correct. Well, my phone is in the fridge. I'm kind of like half into the fridge.
Right. Okay, cool. And that's cool. I don't know how long this will be sustainable. Do you have anything in your fridge that would be bad with the next 45 minutes of your fridge being open?
This is just a drink fridge.
Okay, fair enough. So we're gonna do the interview through your fridge.
I mean, this part.
Got it. Okay. Regardless. Okay. Forgot where I was, but I don't really care.
Ratings are subjective.
This Room 101.
You like the Sig.
Yes.
You like the Sig.
Yes. This Cigar.
We got no place to put
10th anniversary, Room 101 10th anniversary goes for about an MSRP about $10. Matt is going to do something, but I'm going to ask him a question when he comes back. What is that? What?
Put ashes in it. I got to improvise.
Oh. That looks like a pumpkin thing that would take for like trick-or-treating and shit.
It is.
Yes! All right, cool. Good. We're on the same page. Do you have anything to add as far as blend details or anything about the 10th anniversary? And I'm going to do a close-up here so folks can see it.
Comprised of tobaccos sourced from AJ's farms. It's delicious. And it was a new beginning for us. Every year we launch an anniversary series to kind of celebrate another year of ruining our lives in this business. But that was the first.
Fair enough. Hey, all right. Let's get to the Q&A before. That's a good question.
We're going to find out.
Then
is it still hot? The phone is fucking hot, bro.
Our next location will be the microwave? I have no idea. So let's start with Room 101 jewelry.
Cool.
Take me back to that serendipitous moment of when you found that jewelry display at Van Dutch store, and the connections and the introductions followed, and which ultimately ignited the Room 101 jewelry and brand.
Oh, look at you. Somebody's been paying attention. Amazing. So I used to live on Melrose in East Hollywood when I got out of the Marines, right? That's where I first planted myself. And I used to creep on down the little shopping area and explore and daydream. And I found myself in the Von Dutch.
Was that at 56 and 56 14 and 1/4?
That was 56 14 and 1/4. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Now you're a fucking creep. See, before you were paying attention. Now you're a fucking freak. But check this out. Wait, you running my fucking credit? What are you doing? I don't want to buy a boat from you, okay?
No. I'm not selling anything.
So I lived in an apartment that, well, it was rented to me as an apartment, but I believe it was like a storage closet that they had put a bathroom inside, something of that nature. And that was my first crib when I got back to the world there. And the Von Dutch store was aspirational for me. I'd visit that shop. Now, this is before, you have to remember, this is before that brand was in department stores. This was when it was in its purest state. Okay. This was probably like, I don't know, '01, 2000, 2001, something like that. And I used to creep on their jewelry display case because I was infatuated and very taken by all this handmade sterling silver that was in this case, and come to find out it's made in Los Angeles, even more intriguing. And time after time I would visit, and finally one of the kids that worked in the shop said, "Hey man, I'll introduce you to the guy that makes some of this if you're interested." And I said, "Of course, man, I would love to." So before I knew it, one thing leads to another, one introduction leads to another, and I'm sitting behind a bench downtown in a factory, in a production studio that I would ultimately become a partner in, at 7th and Broadway, still there to this day. Your photo of your elbow in mashed potatoes is there on the floor in another suite. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. And this was really the genesis for the Room 101 brand. I wanted to create a brand that was very like, not unlike, and very much like Alfred Dunhill of the 1950s and 60s, but with my own stylization, my own direction, my own design direction, and you know, a bit of Los Angeles flavor, you know? And so this is what I set out to do. And initially creating the spine of our collection with this handmade jewelry, ultimately to expand into other categories, having no idea how I was going to do any of this. 2009 saw the launch of Room 101 Cigars, the brand ported into a completely new category for us, right? But translated well. And we just so happened to be sticking our pinky finger into the bung of this business around the time that the era of boutique brands was beginning, right? Can you put like star effect?
I will.
Age of boutique brands was beginning. It was afoot. Now, I'm not saying that there hadn't been, you know, alternatively stylized brands prior to this era. All I'm saying is that when Pete Johnson dropped Tatuaje and Jonathan Drew dropped Drew Estate, these brands are still active today, consistently since then, right? Some people had come into the game and burned very brightly, shined like the brilliant diamond that they were, and had faded away already, right? So, but this was different. This time it was going to stick. And at the time, I thought maybe, hey, I'm a little late to the party. I see Pete Johnson, I see Dion is firing on all cylinders here. Their brands are thriving.
Yeah.
You know, 3-4 years down the road, I look back and I said, hey man, I'm no longer the youngest guy in the business, and look at this tobacco trail of tears behind me, right? And in one blink of an eye, I went from being the youngest to being one of the originals in that space. I mean, if I may be so brazen to make that statement, I believe that to be true at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck do I know? But that's kind of, I think, how that took form. And it was such an exciting time. I think there's several things I'm very grateful for this business. That I've drawn from this business, and this business has brought into my life, you know, the people, the community, the culture. But at the time, it was such an amazingly vibrant period of time to be active in this space, especially in that new niche that was not yet fully realized, which was what was to become the craft segment of an entire industry.
Yeah.
It was the beginning. So that was the beginning of craft beer in this business. The beginning of it just like in 2001, the visit to the Von Dutch Shop when the brand was in its purest state, right? This was the craft product movement in this industry in a very pure state, I think. I might say. I mean, I was there. So, you know, I'm grateful for having been active in the business at that time. I think it's one of the things that's kept us going this far.
I would agree that your stuff is outstanding compared to a lot of boutique
This shit's
companies.
nice, right?
Phenomenal.
It's not bad. I would like to say it's not
all right.
bad. I've always said our bands make the cigars taste better. You know,
there is a there's a false truth behind that, right? Like, because you could do a blind tasting with no bands and people are going to think otherwise. We had a blind tasting here a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago. Somebody had a Padron 26.
I think.
And the entire time he was like, it's all right. Not knowing what the fuck he was smoking. But he was like, that's all right. I wouldn't buy it.
How could you not know a Padron 26? It's so
Band was
sexual.
off. It
Just
is.
The
But
way
he
the striations in the wrapper as it courses around the vessel of filler and binder, which is another wrapper, so erotic. There's no mistaking.
The way you put it. Yeah.
There's no look, man. I like Padron. I smoke it frequently.
No, I know you like Padron 64 though.
Yeah, Principe, natural wrapper, fucking right, you know.
Right.
But I'll smoke the 26. I'm not stuck up. I like that shit too.
All right. So you talked about your jewelry. You talked about how you kind of got into the cigar industry. Your gin.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I couldn't get your gin. We talked about that a little bit. My
Weird
buddy Eric Bay.
You didn't get it. It's weird.
Yeah, our buddy
Strange.
Eric Bay. It's
Yeah, he's like, he's over there. He's not there. He's
but
over
we're
there.
right now. He's doing a Cigar Dojo Friday night smoke night live interview right now. So he couldn't give it
for him.
Good for him.
Yeah.
He's not on Cigar Social Podcast, so whatever. He told me I can pick it up from his house. I'm like, oh, dude, I just want you to come here and hang out. But he just was too busy for that shit. Can you tell us more? Can you tell us more about that gin? How it's distilled, that product, all that?
So,
cool.
A craft spirit was on my to-do list to create this comprehensive lifestyle collection. And easily 5 to 6 years before we actually realized Room 101 Gin, which was in the fall of 2017, I knew that it needed to be gin. I believed wholeheartedly that gin was going to have its day in the sun of boutiqueification of that category, right? I saw tremendous potential with gin. Gin is very interesting because, a lot of people have the plastic handle from Costco experience in their teens and swear gin off forever because, it's very, very juniper forward. It's like, as
Christmas
the distiller
tree.
as the distiller that I ended up building the formula with so eloquently stated, he said, Matt, you don't like the juniper. And I said, no, I want to create this thing that's very citric and fruity. And I understand that juniper has to be in there for it to be gin. So let's make it a whisper off in the distance. And he said, yeah. That's because nobody likes being face fucked by pine cones. And at that moment, I knew, I was like, you're my guy. You're the guy. We're going to build this right now. And so I sat down with Travis from Big Bottom Distillers in Hillsboro, Oregon at the time. And unbeknownst to me, I was about to put my cigar factory mouth to work to build this formula with him. And, I didn't speak his direct language as a distiller, but I could comment. I could say, hey, why is this note hollow here? Why is this absent here? Why is this overly present here? What are you doing to make these changes? And he would explain to me about elevating proof, changing some of the botanicals, et cetera, et cetera. And so we built this formula to be juniper minimal, citrus forward, highly erotic, and very, very favorable to a cigar smoking experience as in terms of a pairing partner. Now, what the brown liquid ingester seeks in his or her pairing to the smoke, fire, right? Now they get a lot of wood off that, right? And some of these other elements. Now some of these are not present in our gin because it's a clear liquid, but with elevated proof and elevated amounts of fresh citrus, there's a lot of fire with a clean finish. So it doesn't tamper with the smoking, but it gives you fire on the palate, gives you fire down your little throat pipe there, and you place a little layer, a little smoke blankie over your palate after that. I think you might find it to be very favorable.
I think, you know what? I'm not a gin person.
You'd probably be a Room 101 gin person, though.
I think you might be right. I
mean, what do I know?
Yeah, a little bit. I think that once I get my hands on that, I have to take a drive to the south side or have Eric Bay come and do another shindig here. But I'm looking forward to trying it. There's only one or two gins that I've actually enjoyed and I've tried. I try because I want to explore outside the whiskey bourbon realm. Aviation is okay. Castle and Key makes a pretty good gin. It's a little fennel forward for me. But yeah, I can't wait to try yours.
Cool.
Room 101. For the folks who don't know, the name Room 101, does that derive from George Orwell's 1984?
Yes.
Okay.
Partially. In part. But,
okay.
This is, for those that know this story, it's, this story is about the man trying to stamp out individuality, trying to eradicate free will, creative independence, all of these things that I'm very much a champion for and things that I've built my career on, right? So I wanted to name the brand Room 101. It's kind of a nod to that concept that, that we were creative revolutionaries. I mean, if that's maybe that's a bit much, but you get what I'm saying. There's revolution and disruption, right? There's there's freedom in creating products that resonate but yet disrupt simultaneously, and there's a very fine balance, But I think we've always walked that line organically with what we do. A lot of that has to do with the way that I produce products and then present them. Not going to take all the credit. The product has to, cash the check that your ass is writing with it, or however you say that.
Right. And it does.
I mean, I'd like to think
recently, as of last year, you sold the brand to STG. So
I sold the Cigar brand to STG.
Let me congratulate you on that one.
Thank you.
That's huge. But what ultimately led you to let go of the brand that you built for like 20 years? And what involvement and influence do you still have with Room 101 Cigars?
Well, man, I didn't really let go of it. Part of our arrangement that I was going to remain in creative control.
Okay.
To make sure that the brand grows and evolves responsibly and in a healthy fashion over the next several years and into perpetuity, into the most beautiful atomic sunset you would ever imagine. Nuclear
Great
sunset?
Answer. Nuclear sunset. Whatever. Sure.
Like basically it's going to live into perpetuity until we fucking nuke ourselves out of existence.
With that acquisition.
Cuban links.
With that acquisition, how did you celebrate the sale of your brand?
I went to Old Spaghetti Factory. I used to work there as a dishwasher as a kid, right? And I always loved the Mazithra plate. And so this is, you could imagine, a process like this takes many times over a year or longer. It's highly stressful. And, in the 11th and a half hour, everyone is sliding communication and documents back and forth. And we need this and you need that. And if we don't get these 17 things that we decided weren't important a week ago, if we don't have them today, we can't do it, and and all that. So sign the document, call the family. Don't tell them. My wife knew, right? So I was pacing a hole in the floor of our home for, 6 months prior to that. Call up the elders of the family. I wrangle them. I take them down to the fucking old spaghetti factory, and I sit there and I eat my Mazithra plate, and I look around at them bickering at each other. The madness of elders in your family, and just absorbing the moment for myself and my wife. And I sat there and just soaked it all in. And then 5 a.m. the next morning, I was on a flight to the jewelry industry trade show in Las Vegas.
That's awesome. Where is that spaghetti factory located?
That one's in downtown Spokane.
Okay. Washington State.
Yeah. I had to put my phone in the fridge because it overheated. I'm on the interview thing here. Yeah.
He's on an interview. Can you leave him alone?
She's like, "What? Are you talking to the fridge again?" I'm like, no, it's actually, look at the phone. It's there.
He's there. No. Hi. God, judgy much.
She's used to it. I talk to more than fridges, you know what I mean?
So completely off topic, kind of in topic. Is there any significant of the Japanese style art that you use? Is that come from your military years that you served in Asia?
Yeah, man. I was really taken by a lot of the powerful sculptural artwork that I found in Japan and Asia in general.
Yeah.
And it left an impression on me. And, at the time, I didn't know that I was going to create a lifestyle brand, And so when we started making sculptural art, I thought, because the heavy silver stuff, especially at that time in the early 2000s, was very much still, although we were doing something a little bit more elevated, it was still like high-end biker type shit, right? So there was a lot of skulls with lightning bolts and iron crosses and all this shit, which is cool, right? But I wanted to do something a little different. And I wanted to import some of this Japanese influence design flavor and create my versions of, no theater characters and protective deities and things of this nature. And I wanted that to be, originally how I was going to make my mark on the more character-driven side of our design portfolio. And I did. And at the time, no one had really done that. I mean, now I think that's been done a bit, but at the time, no one had done that. Yeah.
Do you have an artist who does your art, or is that you?
I have an artist that does our 2-dimensional art, and I do our 3-dimensional sculptural work.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But I have him draw a lot of things based on my sculpture, and then I sculpt based on his drawing. So we share back and forth a lot.
It's a partnership. It's a handshake.
It's a fucking psychotic episode is what it is.
All right. Can you tell our listeners what exactly is?
I refuse. I refuse this question. I don't even know what it is. I didn't like the way how you started. What's the next one? I don't like that one. I didn't
hypothetically.
Okay.
Maybe if
I like that. I like this.
If you would tell our listeners what the Room 101 Shadow Army is, and can you hint on who is Shadow 1?
Second question answered first. Fuck no, I can't.
Got it.
First question. The Shadow Army is a collective of like-minded freaks, our people, are closest to bloodline that we could possibly connect to as a brand family that have all found us because of this beacon, this freaking beacon, the freaking beacon. Oh my God, look at that.
The freaking beacon.
The freaking beacon that goes out into the ethers and draws back all of my beautiful weirdos, man, and people that really, really get what it is that we're doing, or are, interested on some cursory level in terms of what we're doing, our products, and want to become more further immersed and indoctrinated into the Room 101 brand way. That is what the Shadow Army is.
I am a member of the Shadow Army. And so yeah, I'm part of the freaking beacon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the some folks might not know about it, so I'm happy to maybe spread that love a little bit. Couple episodes ago, I had John Huber from Crown Heads on the show.
I like John Huber. Yeah. One of the first guys I met in the business.
He told me a story about how you guys met. He said that he was inquiring about some jewelry, and when you were in the jewelry business, and before you were even in the cigar world.
I met him before I was in the cigar game.
Yeah. At the time, he actually offered to send cigars to you, but you said at that point you didn't smoke, so you asked those cigars to be shipped to your Uncle Leroy in Washington State. Knowing that you had your first cigar... Yeah, knowing that you had your first cigar around 16 with your Uncle Lee, I believe it was a White Owl.
It was a White Owl.
In homage to Uncle Lee, also in 2014, you released a Room 101 Uncle Lee.
That is correct.
Was your Uncle Leroy an influential in pursuing the cigar industry?
No, but what he did was he infected me from a very early age with the idea that cigar smoking was far more than chiefing down a rod of dead plant material. It was a conduit to connectivity on another level that is, I think, typically absent in conversation and in time shared with other people. And I didn't care anything for the cigar at the time. I cared for the moment that I was sharing with my uncle that no one else in the family could share with him.
Right.
A caliber of moment, sir.
No, I can't agree more. Like that is something that you can't replicate, something that you can't even at times explain. So I appreciate that. Fun question. In a previous interview, you referenced the chinchilla as being the Pontiac Aztec of the animal kingdom.
I hate the chinchilla. I don't hate much.
Strong hatred with that animal.
I don't have a lot of space for hate in my life. I don't believe in it. I think it's dead weight. But when warranted, a very powerful force. I mean, look at Darth Vader. Look at what he did with hate. Fucking amazing. It's like the fucking hate Olympics. So the chinchilla is a wretched creature. Okay? It is a deceiver. And there are several deceivers in the animal kingdom that I would like to point out right now. Not as wretched as the chinchilla, but in close, right? Bunny rabbits, a horrid deceiver, a deceptive creature, and most fucking birds. Like, they all look so luscious and juicy, and like if you were to pet them, it would be as pleasant to your hand as they are to your eye. But when you touch them, they're a wad of fucking vile bones and fucking... skin with long hair on it. It doesn't even become fur. Like I could rub your balls and receive more pleasure than rubbing a chinchilla. You understand? And I don't want to rub your balls. But I mean, if we're gonna do it,
I don't know how I feel about that. No, it's great.
How much? You think about that, you do it.
Yeah, I'll slide in your DMs when I feel about the comparison between chinchillas and rubbing my balls. I'll get you.
Fuck the chinchilla.
Fuck the chinchilla
Fuck
is
the
what I'm
chinchilla.
Hashtag fuck
the
chinchillas.
Fuck them.
That's, yeah.
Fuck 'em.
Folks,
Filth.
if you're listening, hashtag fuck chinchillas.
Watch that pop up now.
Oh, yeah. Maybe.
Yeah. Shame on you, Matt Booth is a way better hashtag, by the way. That was
No.
from
I feel like fuck chinchillas is a great.
You think that's better?
Yeah.
You think it's better?
Yeah, totally.
It's a superior
Totally.
hashing.
I may or may not be on your side.
I think you are.
Kind of, a little bit.
We can play coy though. It's cool.
Yeah. I just love how you used Pontiac Aztec as your reference. Like
It's a disgusting vehicle.
The garbage vehicle.
It's disgusting. I've seen them dressed with like faux wood panels from like a fucking 92 Dodge Caravan. You understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the Woodies.
Just to add insult to an already injured vehicle aesthetic, Like, who came up with that, man? That took a lot of energy, effort, and selling up. Like, someone sold that into an organization and said, guys, this abortion of
this is
going to be
Oh,
shit.
we need to put this in production.
Yeah.
Somebody thought it was a great idea.
Yeah. There are people sleeping in them today, I'm sure. So, I mean, they were right. You can camp in them.
Oh, man.
Well,
Matt, shifting gears. Thank you for your service.
thanks, man.
For those who don't know, Matt is a veteran of the U.S. Marines. He enlisted in 95. He was active in 96. He served 4 years in the infantry. Hey, Matt, can you tell our folks what what your MOS was?
0331, which is machine gunner.
Machine gun.
And this is the information you have. It's like it's very heartwarming and terrifying simultaneously.
You're welcome.
Nice. I like you, man. I'm going to keep you around.
I like you too. I hope so. You were trained.
On the internet, not in person, though.
Yeah, no. That'd be weird.
Yeah.
You were trained in machine guns at the SOI, and rumor is that you weren't such of a troublemaker as folks think you were, but you did get in trouble one time for maybe breaking your rifle down too much to clean it.
I did. That was actually in boot camp because I had built several AR-15s when I was in high school, right? I mean, down to the detent pins, that would hold the everything fully stripped, right? Like armor level assembly. And, when you get in there, they teach you ways that are field expedient where you're not fumbling your fucking delicate parts around. You don't want to disassemble the bolt carrier group. And that's actually what I got in trouble for doing. I took the bolt out of the bolt carrier because you can't fucking clean it, right? If you don't. But you're not supposed to. So you step out of line and the nail that stands up will be pounded flush,
Did you get in trouble for breaking it down too much?
I did. Just once. I didn't do it again. I mean, visibly.
Got it. So, funny story I like to share. While training, I believe Sergeant Palm once yelled at you during a pull-up exercise, specifically about starting at the East Coast.
Yes.
And finding somebody you cared about. Can you tell the listeners that motivational method in the moment?
Now, Sergeant Palm was a gangster because he was a sergeant in a world of staff sergeants and gunnery sergeants. And the reason why is because he had lost rank at some point, which only the real G's lose rank. That's just how that works. And now he was in a not only a leadership position, but a position because he was the platoon sergeant. So he was above the staff sergeants and gunnery, the other enlisted gentlemen that were running the platoon. And, these guys are unnaturally immaculate in every way, shape, and form. Physically, they're uniform, like not a button is out of line, not a stray thread is coming out of a seam somewhere. It's like they're it's like they're created, like they're action figures. Every one of them is like a character in an action figure, right? So Sergeant Palm in his dress uniform, which was the short sleeve khaki shirt and green slacks, and he's got the fucking hat and all that, or the cover, as the guys call, and
Yeah.
and he hops up on the bar next to me, and I'm, well into it and struggling, and you're being made to push far past where you could, right, easily, and so I'm flailing about and sweating, and he's just fucking 100, right, and his head snaps to the side, and he is also doing pull-ups, right, without any indication from his breathing pattern or his body mechanics that it is in any way something that he could not do 300 fucking pull-ups in one shot and not even break a sweat, right? And many of these guys were in this type of condition. It was really impressive when you think about it, And
oh yeah,
and Sergeant Palm tells me, he says, Booth, do you have anybody that you care about in the world? And I said, yes. Of course, he's screaming this at me, And I said, yes, sir. And he says, I'm just going to go to the East Coast, Booth, and I'm just going to start fucking, and I'm going to fuck my way all across this country until I fuck somebody that you care about. And I said, yes, sir. He said, get the fuck out of here. And then I left. And the next guy hopped up and he started harassing them with something else very different. Because I feel like, other than the crazy ass long hours and I guess at one point, level of physical fitness, I could have gotten into whatever, I could have taken it or left it, right? But the weirdness, I was meant to script some of the weirdest shit that could possibly happen at boot camp. This is like my boot camp for you, for our consumers. I am now Sergeant Palm, and you are me, and I am screaming my madness at you, but somehow it's, understood universally that we're both vested in a better outcome for both of us.
Yes.
Right? And this shared moment, a higher caliber of shared moment.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he did. I mean, I think he's an international gentleman of leisure. I think that he's savagely penetrated many, many people in his day, and probably someone I knew or at least moderately cared about.
I'm grateful. And I'm happy that guy wanted to fuck his way through the country to find somebody that you cared about. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's because he made an impression.
Yeah. I'll never forget that it was an amazing conversation that he just had on me, not even with me, but on me. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Have you made contact with Sergeant Palm since then?
Man, no. I ran into him one time in Okinawa a couple years into the fleet. I was close to getting out, and I ran into him in the PX. It was a very awkward moment. I didn't really know what the fuck to say.
Yeah.
So we just kind of said hi, and then I fled the scene immediately. Probably having just purchased the first M&M compact disc. I think I bought that in Okinawa.
That would do it.
Mm-hmm.
You left the Marines in 2000.
I did.
On Valentine's Day.
Look, man.
You went straight to
We're
Hollywood.
We're going to have to talk offline.
Pursuit
this is a very... That's fine. I like it. My nipples are hard, but there's a lot of information.
Good. No, I'm glad you're excited. You went straight to Hollywood. You pursued a career as a bass player.
That's correct.
And after bouncing around from band to band, you ended up as sound engineer at the famous Whiskey A Go-Go.
I did lights mostly, but I was learning how to do sound, yeah. I did stage monitors. The
experiences that you had with some bands when you worked at the Whiskey A Go-Go.
Some bands. I mean, a lot of people came through. It was a nucleus of connectivity. It was a super cool time to be on the Sunset Strip. It wasn't, it was the the smoldering embers of the 80s, right? So long gone, but some of the older heads there were still from that era. So it's always interesting to soak up these stories from them and hear what it used to be like in their glory days, And I think the thing that comes to mind, I forget the band name, forgive me guys, but they were from Alaska. I want to say Anchorage. And these
Okay.
guys fucking drove the van. They booked the gig at the Whiskey and they drove their fucking van from a fucking Alaska, like American Dream, right? Stars in their eyes, energy
Yep.
rattling through every, molecule of their bodies, going to play in Hollywood. And granted, if they did that, they were probably the sickest band in Alaska, or at least in Anchorage at the time, right? Like they definitely had their chops and they felt worthy enough to go play the Whiskey. But just like many things in life and almost everything in Hollywood, it's all bullshit, right? So, they had shown up and he introduced himself to me because I was working the stage monitors, which that desk was down on the floor by the can that would consistently overflow. And so it was this pungent vapor that was always around me of creativity and fecal matter and many other things.
Right.
And he was so excited, got to know him, got to meet him. And then on my way out the door, I went and I checked the schedule that was taped to the front door. And I realized that they had been booked on, I think it was like a Sunday night, super late or something. They got a super shitty time slot, right? And I remember he came back. I was working that night and he came back to the monitor desk. And see, what the Whiskey had turned into was a lot of pay to play, just like a lot of venues in LA. So, if you had at the time $500 to buy tickets for your band to go pedal, you could have 30 minutes on the stage, right? And so, like a lot of high schoolers, I mean, there were a lot of really gifted musicians that came through there. There's no doubt. But there was also people just fucking around, playing some songs that they had written. And, I remember him coming up to the desk. Now, he had been in Hollywood for a week, so his dreams were probably already shattered. It only takes a couple days, really. But, and he was trashed. And he was obviously like devastation drinking, And I remember this moment so vividly because it was like comedy that the universe brings to you, right? There's this band of like, I mean, they were probably high schoolers, like young high schoolers, just playing like fuck around music. And the kid that's the lead is playing a keyboard and he's wearing a cape and like these crazy glasses. And it's just complete fucking nonsense. And I remember this guy came up to me distraught and he's like, "Hey man, what the fuck is that?" And he points up at the fucking stage and I look up and I look at the kid with the cape and I look back at him and I say, "Welcome to Hollywood, man." And that was it. That's my Whiskey moment. I mean, one of them. Mm-hmm.
As a bass player, what type of music did you play? And who was your influence for that instrument?
Oh man. So I actually, when I started getting better, I actually took lessons with Vale Johnson. Vale Johnson played for the Dog Pound band on the Arsenio show, played bass for Kenny G for years. Really gifted and talented bass player. And I mean, I had influence from, anyone you could think of, from Marcus Miller to Bootsy Collins to Larry Graham, 100%, But I mostly played like progressive rock. I like to lead with melodic bass lines. A lot of the time when you get into band,
like a Les Claypool.
I would never be so bold as to say, Les Claypool because he's like the king, right? But like, definitely things that were outside
Melodic.
Yeah, they were far more melodic than just holding it down. Of course, I could do that too, right? So, and a lot of groups I got into, I got to experiment a little, but mostly just hold it down with the drummer. It was cool. It was a fun time.
Do you still play?
I play with my son, so my son is learning drums. So I sit with him and I lay down bass lines, and he locks in with me and learns how to kind of organically play beats.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
By chance, did you ever come across Pete Johnson's old band?
I did
when
not.
You were at the Go-Go. because
did
he
not.
played the strip a bunch.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you know what, man? I might have. I don't know. We met each other later in another chapter of both of our lives.
Was it Jury Duty? I think that was his band's name.
Jury Duty.
Jury
It's
Duty.
Jury Duty. Oh no, shit. Oh, I got to check it out.
Yeah. Yep. Speaking of Pete,
Mm-hmm.
I heard something about you wanting to get in the desire to get into Pete Johnson's pants. What's about
Jansen
Pete Johnson's
jeans,
pants?
bro? He made pants. I wanted to get a pair of his pants, and I wanted to get into them. I still have not graced my carcass with a pair of Hassel denim. I think it was Hassel denim.
Hassel denim? I gotta do some research on that. But I just knew that you had a thing about getting into Pete Johnson's pants, and I wanted to figure that out.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes the power of mystery is greater than the truth itself.
Absolutely. Okay. Switching gears from the go-go, portions of the proceeds of the Nabakubi. Am I saying that right?
No.
Okay. How do you say that?
Oh, Namakubi?
Nabakubi. Yeah.
Also not, but it's okay.
Go to a local Nevada Alzheimer's charity called Keep Memory Alive.
When we released the purple version 2 years ago, I donated a portion of the sales to Keep Memory Alive. That's correct.
Yeah.
And I released it in purple tone for Alzheimer's awareness. Can you see me okay? I feel like it's dim.
I see you.
Okay, good.
I see you. Was there a personal connection that made you want to donate money to that organization?
Yeah, we've experienced some of that with my family, and it is an insidious affliction. And I thought, hey, let's do some. Let's try to erase this. Let's do our part to donate and see if we can't come up with a cure.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I understand you're a lifelong fan of Monty Python.
Fucking love it, dude. That's how I first cut my teeth on the weird. Monty Python.
Can you please place the following 5 Monty Python skits in order from best to least?
Are we doing movie Monty Python or show Monty Python?
So
it doesn't matter. Go
mixture.
Okay.
You have the Dead Parrot.
Dead Parrot's good.
The Lumberjack Song.
Oh my God.
The Ministry of Silly Walks.
That's good.
Dirty Fork.
Yeah.
And the French Taunt from Holy Grail.
Look, man, the French Taunt from Holy Grail is obviously quintessential Monty Python. And I think one of the most universally recognized scenes from bits from Monty Python. I've always been a massive fan of all of it. And I think, and I'll answer your question, but I'll also include additional flavor, right? And color, right? So
give it.
I've always been far more a fan of all the little intricacies and the little short, weird moments that they would produce that I thought were the most delightful, and the most nonsensical out of everything, right? I think that there was a scene where there were 2 gentlemen, they were filming and they were almost out of film, and they only had, it was like 30, 40 seconds of film left, something like that. And so I want to say John Cleese was a British police officer, and he walks up on a gentleman in the street. I could have the characters mixed up, but they address each other, and they stare at each other for about 5 seconds, and then the guy says, "You want to come home with me?" And he says, "Yeah, right." And then they just walk off. Shit like that's fucking epic, man. It's amazing, you know. You didn't include the cheese shop, man. I mean, that's a classic.
No.
I went to the O2
but there's so
Arena.
many. Like, how do you pick? Like, I picked up my top 5
Dead
growing
Parrot's
up.
good, though.
My scout leader when I was in Boy Scouts, he during like jamborees and stuff, we would do Monty Python skits. So all of these are skits that like we did around a campfire as like Boy Scouts, but like I grew up with. And so when I heard that you were a fan, I'm like, okay, let me throw these 5 out there to see which one you bite on. The French Taunt is hilarious. I mean, all of them are fucking great. Dirty Fork, I mean, come on.
I'm gonna go Dead Parrot, man. I'm gonna say that that's one of my favorites out of the ones that you. I mean, other than the French Taunt, right? Because that's like in an elevated status, you know. I always really fancied the one where it was the women's league of such and such, and they were going to do a battle reenactment, and they all get out in their Sunday dresses, and they have their purses and their fancy hats, and they're like a muddy rugby field, and then they just start kicking the holy shit out of each other, you know. It's amazing. It's all amazing. I actually had the pleasure of seeing a reunion show of theirs. This was, fuck man, now at least 10 years ago, maybe even more. When I found out they were getting back together for it, I booked tickets immediately and I flew over there and I peeped it out.
That had to be amazing. Like,
dude,
just to see them.
Lines of guys, with the napkin hats, walking into walking in to get their seats in the auditorium, and it was pretty cool, man. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
So I have family in Ottawa, Tennessee, which is right outside of Chattanooga.
Oh, I do like Chattanooga.
Which brings me to a question.
Man, is that
Can you
where?
Explain?
I wonder if that's where that gas station is that I saw those people. But I'll Google Map when we're off. I'll confirm that.
Okay. Well, I was getting to the full story of what happened at a Waffle House in Chattanooga that year.
Which time?
I heard something happened at a Waffle House in Chattanooga.
Is this when I was ejected, or is this when I made it rain?
Sure.
I love making it rain in fucking Waffle House.
One of those two
like
would be great.
Ordering bottle service for everybody. I'm just like fucking bacon for everybody.
Bottle service at a Waffle House?
Makes me feel like I'm ordering bottle service at like, if I was like Puff Daddy at Tao and I'm just like, get everybody Ciroc. Fuck it. Except I don't roll like that. So I'm like, hey, just bacon for everybody in the Waffle House. But it's still
bacon. Everyone gets bacon.
A bent appeal to it, you know? Fucking make.
He's like Oprah, like, you get bacon. Mm-hmm. You get bacon. All right.
I might have been ejected that night. I don't recall clearly. There's so much.
So the story still remains a mystery.
The fog of war was ever present during these times.
Room 101 jewelry is absolutely phenomenal. I love some of the beautiful pieces, and I'm about to pull some triggers on some pieces that I've seen. Your website, folks, room101brand.com. That's room101brand.com.
That is
you
correct.
have a Guy Fieri. Did I say that right? Fieri? Collection.
No.
Do you have any other celebrity collections in the works coming up?
We have a couple things in the works, but man, until they see the light of day, it's it ain't over till it's over. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. We've been very fortunate.
Not smoking, if you're not smoking Room 101, besides Padron 64?
Yeah.
What else are you grabbing out of the humidor?
I mean, a lot of my smoking these days is all maintenance. It's either monitoring consistency, quality in our collections, or how sample blends are evolving, and then I smoke Padron. I fucked with a little foundation recently. I have
Padron
very much
64,
enjoyed.
I feel like is like your go-to, right?
It is. And anyone is welcome to give one of those to me at any time when we meet, and I will accept it.
I will definitely not send you one.
Rude.
It's just me. Sorry.
Unbelievable.
Do you have any upcoming releases, collaborations, or anything that our listeners can be excited for?
Yes.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that?
Oh, would you like to know what they are?
Yeah, please. That'd be great.
Oh,
Thanks.
I would love to. So this
No,
year,
certainly.
you're going to see the dawn of 14th anniversary. You might even see our beloved Moon Man come back to grace the surfaces of cylindrical dead plant rods. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
In the very near
Got a
future.
question.
Oh, you asked.
Just took the band off.
Mm-hmm.
No good deeds
Mm-hmm.
on the back of this label.
Yeah, man. No good deed goes unpunished, my man.
What does that mean? Oh, okay. All right.
So no good deeds.
Folks, on the back of 10th anniversary, is it on everyone, or am I just like a winner?
It's on the back of the 10th anniversary. I like to Easter egg things.
I thought I was a winner.
You
Fuck.
win.
Yeah.
Ah.
Shit.
Oh, yeah.
We're coming up to time. I get it. You're busy. Will people be able to meet and greet you at any upcoming events? I know PCA is coming up. Will you be there?
I will be there with bells on, ready to meet and greet all sorts of folks. And then,
With bells on.
With bells on. And structured stuff through the end of the year. A few limited engagements, whatnot. I'll be out there. Not too much, but a little bit, when it counts.
Will you be in the Chicago area anytime soon?
Man, unfortunately not scheduled. Doesn't mean I won't turn up, but as of right now, nothing scheduled.
Fuck. Can you schedule that?
I see a flight in your future.
Yeah, like make it happen, please.
No, in your future. I see a flight in your future. We'll go to the Spaghetti Factory.
I see what you're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Folks, I believe this episode, down to a nub, my cigar, down to a nub, Boofy, Matt Booth, the man, the legend. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy man. Friends of the Leaf. Don't forget to check out our official sponsor, Black Star Line Cigars, blackstarline.shop. Use promo code CigarSocial15 for 15% off your entire order and free shipping on all orders over $100. Next episode, we'll be joined by the great sorcerer of the planet, the Gindo hot sauce champion of the world. Well, we will be remote, both of us, down in Chattanooga, Tennessee, for a couple weeks. So can't wait for you guys to join us. Check that out. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time at the Cigar Social Podcast. Take care, everybody.